CEO gets led into the Hall of 8 Respects, and a sect member tells him to come in. The sect leader is waiting for him. CEO then follows her as she leads him to the sect leader's location. He gets to the place where the sect leader is standing on a fighting platform, waiting to face this new stranger. All the sect members and elders are gathered around to witness this duel. Honestly, the sect leader was wondering who the guest might be when he heard a first-rate martial artist was here, but he never expected it would be a young lad. CEO greets the sect leader of the Hall of the 8 Respects, and the sect leader notices that CEO's chi is undoubtedly formidable, and SEO also thinks that the sect leader's chi is also the same. He wishes the sect leader could bestow an inexperienced fellow like himself some of his teachings. The sect leader takes out his weapon, and I must say, that is the coolest weapon I have ever seen. They both take a fighting stance and prepare to face off with each other. The sect leader then declares that he shall make the first move. He strikes the floor where CEO is standing, but CEO manages to escape the attack. The sect leader uses chi to control the weapon, which is called Nine Chucks, and directs it at CEO, but CEO quickly blocks and deflects the attack. All the sect members were shocked that he was able to deflect the sect leader's Nine Chucks with his sword. The sect leader can tell that CEO is at the late stage of first rate from the way he reacted. He has reached the level of becoming one with the sword. But the sect leader is not the only one observing his opponent. CEO has also noticed that the sect leader has completely merged his martial arts with his weapon as well. CEO learned much from that single move. The sect leader is excited to meet someone at the same level as him at such a young age. He thinks SEO must truly be a genius. Big man, you do not know half of the story. What this man has been through to get to this level, only the readers know. Even CEO chuckles at being called a genius. To him, that's hardly a compliment. He knows it may seem impressive that he has reached this level of prowess that would take others decades to reach in his late 20s. But he's just one of the many talentless fools commonly found in the world. The sky never gave him such talent. He is the heaven's forgotten son. But regardless, he still thanks the sect leader for praising his yet sufficient skills. He thinks to himself that, despite his lack of talent, he was able to develop a level of martial prowess equivalent to those of geniuses. Regression is truly an opportunity for him. But now he will act as a genius. CEO tells the sect leader that he will use sword energy from here on out, and the sect leader agrees to take things seriously. CEO uses his mountain severing sword first form, transcending peaks technique, to attack the sect leader, who manages to evade the attack. But CEO is hot on his tail. He uses several forms to attack, but the sect leader blocks all and prepares an attack of his own. He delivers several strikes at CEO, who also blocks them with his sword. The sect leader starts to notice that he can't see through all of CEO's monstrous sword art. The two keep going back and forth with the attacks, until CEO releases a different form and manages to scratch the sect leader's face, to the shock of the sect members. One point out that CEO's sword is becoming faster as he goes through the art forms. The sect leader is struggling to keep up with CEO's art forms, and another sect member notices that CEO's speed is not the only thing increasing. His sword is also gaining ridiculous amounts of force. CEO strikes the sect leader again, and when he notices that he is struggling to cope with it, he decides to end things now. CEO leaps up into the air and uses the 12th form, 7 Lights Emerging Peak. That form completely shatters the 9 Chucks, to the shock of the sect leader and all the sect members. The sect leader even gets injured and admits defeat. CEO bows to thank the sect leader for the opportunity, and turns around to leave the destroyed battleground. As he is leaving the Hall of 8 Respects, bystanders and NPCs stare at him, and he is surprised that there is no backlash from the sect members. He knows the Hall of 8 Respects is an orthodox sect well known for following a strict moral code. So next, he should visit the unorthodox sections. With this tour of travels, he hopes to reach the martial peak in this life. CEO toured 4 more medium-sized sects in Seokyang City, and among them, he lost to the Yunryu sect and the Hwayoung sect, but was victorious at the Geju sect and the Yugwol sect, and now in the Hojing sect, after defeating a sect member. The old-ass sect leader, who is sitting nearby, starts laughing and confirms if CEO is the young first-rate martial artist who is recently challenging duels around Seokyang City. He acknowledges Seo's skills, and he also bows to thank him. But the door behind the old sect leader opens, and 10 bald-headed men come out of it. The old sect leader asks CEO if he is ready to face up against 10 of the elders. What a cunning old geezer. CEO wonders if this is how unorthodox sects exact revenge. CEO tells the old geezer that he thought the duel ended in his victory. He has never ever heard of consecutive duels, especially one where the challenger would fight 10-on-1. The old geezer shows a malicious smile and asks if that is so. CEO quickly realizes the old geezer's intentions, and he tells him that if he lets the sect's devious ways be known to other sects, the Hojing sect's name will fall to the ground. The old geezer explains that that is no problem. The challenger received a simple scratch while dueling at their sect. Said scratch became infected, and he fell ill and died. Although the sect tried to take good care of him, despite their best efforts, the challenger unfortunately passed away. As the old geezer laughs and says to CEO that a dead man can't possibly refute their words, the bald-headed man surrounded him, and SEO realizes that they are even crazier than he thought. The old geezer tells CEO that if they were to kill him in the sect, there wouldn't be any problem with their reputation. But CEO smirks. Bro is probably thinking in his head like,
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
after all, he did come here for this. CEO points his sword at the bald-headed men and tells them to come at him. He accepts this ridiculous duel. The bald-headed men charge at him. Starting now, the real duel begins. At night, in the city of Seokyang, in a tavern, some drunk men talk about the young master who goes around requesting duels from sections. They think it is a shame for that young martial artist to request a duel from an unorthodox faction like the Hojing sect. One of the men really couldn't believe he'd request a duel with an illegal organization like the unorthodox faction. Another drunk man thinks that he was just naive. He thinks that everything in the world would go as one thinks. They think SEO brought death upon himself by letting his skills get to his head. The Hojang faction looks like a sect at first glance, but they're no different than a bandit hideout inside. CEO is probably buried right about now. Speak of the devil, CEO steps into the tavern, and the waiter welcomes him with a confused look. CEO stands at the door in blood-soaked clothes, and he orders 1 bowl of noodles. As everyone is shocked to see him, the waiter decides to mind his business and asks CEO to come in and take a seat. The drunk men who were loud just a few moments ago go silent as CEO walks past them to take a seat. Honestly, CEO is still upset with the members of the Hojang sect because of those shameless brutes almost died. Not only did they fight him 10 against 1, but they also even laced their weapons with poisons like cowards. It's a good thing he had learned a first-rate medical technique during his time as the chief strategist of the Martial Alliance. If he hadn't eaten the antidotes and stimulants he had prepared in advance, he would have been dead. Furthermore, when that old geezer, in his last-ditch effort, had all the underlings of the sect raise their spears and aim their arrows to charge at him in battle formations, he fought like a beast just to survive. Despite all that, he survived. For the members of the Hojang sect still breathing, he severed their meridians and left them as cripples, so they couldn't search for him in revenge. Damn, bro is ruthless. He's really not taking any chances. Back to the story, but that being said, his nerves aren't going down due to taking too many stimulants. He guesses he won't be sleeping for the next few days. He should request another duel at another righteous sect. CEO picked up his sword and left the tavern after eating his noodles. News spread of the young martial artist master immediately leaving to request another duel after eating a bowl of noodles, just after his bloody battle against the Hojang sect. The insane martial artist was the talk of countless people, bringing about a ruckus in Seokyang City, and people gave the insane master a fitting title. The infinite fighting spirit, Seo Eunhyun. While still in a fight, Seo thinks he lacks talent. The path to the pinnacle he seeks to reach is impossibly distant. Therefore, he must constantly fight, crossing the boundaries of life and death to reach the realm. In order for someone without talent to overcome a wall, they must be insane. If one lacks talent, one must possess madness instead. That's the only way for a dullard to catch up to a genius. And so, Seo ransacked all over Yinghua, not just Seokyang City, visiting both righteous and unorthodox sects and dueled relentlessly, even multiple times in a single day. Time went by, and 5 years later, at Seo and Director Kim's house, Seo was dueling again with someone he seemed to be having a tough time with, and he even used several of his forms. He gathers energy on his sword, and he thinks the form of sword silk that can only be possible at the pinnacle realm, even just manifesting it for a moment, puts a tremendous strain on his mind. But he is frustrated that if he doesn't do this, he won't be able to keep up, because his opponent is the younger version of Director Kim. Director Kim attacks CEO, who manages to block it momentarily before the force sends him crashing to the ground. All of his sword energy was scattered in just one strike. Well, he's the strongest martial artist of all time across 3 different regression for a reason, the GOAT. Director Kim, emerging from a smokescreen, says to CEO that due to his fame, he was expecting a lot, but he's still quite lackluster, the almighty infinite fighting spirit, master of CEO. It seems the strongest martial artist in the world, Kim Young-hoon, the GOAT, has won. CEO is impressed by Director Kim's insane talent, and he congratulates Director Kim. He has noticed that Director Kim has become much stronger than last year. CEO is surprised that this time, Director Kim attained 5 energies converging to the origin in just 5 years. He wonders what exactly he did in those 5 years. His level is still first-rate. Talent truly does crush the spirit of people. In any case, he asks what brings Director Kim to the house. Didn't they decide to meet every 2 years? Director Kim explains that, after he attained 5 energies converging to the origin, he had visited various major sects in Manhwa, and he realized something. CEO asks what he realized. Director Kim explains that there is no one above him in martial arts in Manhwa. Now no one lasts a second against him. CEO just annoyingly stares at Director Kim, like, duh, tell me something new. Director Kim wants to start an organization or sect since he is the strongest martial artist, and he was hoping Iseo could join, but Iseo quickly refuses this idea. CEO notices that Director Kim has already caught the Murim Alliance Leader syndrome. If he agrees to his offer, he is sure that even in this life, he will end up as a strategist or vice leader and toil away like a cow. Now, every minute, every second is precious for him if he wants to reach the pinnacle realm with his talent. Director Kim continued saying that it would be difficult to meet him as often once he starts his organization, and by persuading SEO that he could always spar and guide him if CEO were to join him. But CEO refused. No matter the condition, he'd already received countless guidance and sparring sessions from him in his past lives. So what he needs now is real combat experience. Director Kim, in his past life, advised him to undergo numerous real battles. Once he reaches the last first-rate level. So in this life, he decided to observe Director Kim's journey from afar, and continued his endless series of duels. With that, 20 years have passed again. Director Kim comes back to their house for a visit, and he notices that Seo's face has gone haggard. Turns out in the end, Seo's talent is a talent abandoned by the heavens. Please, if you have made it this far, please subscribe to my channel. Most of the viewers have not subscribed to the channel. Before you continue, just hit the subscribe button if you enjoy this story. I promise to bring you more updates, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss them. Thanks for your time. Back to the story. Even though CEO has trained endlessly, Director Kim is surprised that CEO has still not broken through to the next realm. CEO looks at his sword and thinks that his understanding of sword chi has certainly surpassed that of others in the league, but he couldn't last beyond 3 moves against the high-ranking masters. Even Director Kim finds it strange that CEO has become much more one with the sword than before, yet he still hasn't reached the peak realm. For someone with as much real combat experience as he has, it should have been more than enough. CEO smiles regretfully, as if he has accepted his fate. This is his talent after all, a talent that the heavens have thrown away. He suddenly gets a nosebleed and gets frustrated that it has only been half a day, but he has already reached his limit. If he could cast his sword chi all day without any trouble, maybe then he'll see a little bit of the path. Director Kim hands him a new book and hopes CEO can succeed. He also explains that the book contains insights he gained from fighting the cultivators this time. He held out against the cultivator's spells by dragging things out as long as possible, and he managed to escape. While looking at the book, CEO thinks that the book is as thick as the main volume of the record of martial arts surpassing through cultivation and leaps, an evolved version of the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. CEO asked Director Kim if he really gained this much insight just from successfully escaping. With a serious look, Director Kim tells him that cultivators are a natural disaster in human form. Escaping a natural disaster, of course, the insight gained would be immense. CO promises to keep it safe and pass it on to future generations, and Director Kim thanks him. Director Kim plans to head out to seek cultivators once more. He hopes they meet again alive next time. But before Director Kim leaves, he gives CO a hint to reach the peak realm. All the scenery and spaces he passes by and experiences, he must always try to imprint them in his mind. CO is shocked to hear this, cause bro is seriously telling him to memorize everything around him all the time. Director Kim explains that in order to make use of the surrounding terrain during battle or sparring, he must try to store the surrounding space in his mind. He must try to make something he only does in battle into something he can always do. CO seriously wonders how anyone can do that. Just maintaining sword chi consistently feels like his head's going to explode, and now this genius is telling him to keep spatial awareness steady on top of that. If this keeps up, won't his head really explode? There must be a reason why Director Kim, the strongest martial artist under heaven, gave him such a task. And so, from that day on, he tried remembering every space that came into view, and he started to remember where everything was. As he moves through the city, through the people, and through the forest, he memorizes everything. Now it's been 5 years since he started maintaining the sword chi and the spatial awareness. He feels dizzy. Perceiving all the spatial information that enters one's field of vision is no ordinary or easy task. And now, beyond just visual information, even auditory information has begun to be perceived. He wonders if he will be able to perform martial arts properly in this condition. There are no more sects to deal with anyway. For about 30 years, he traveled all over the Yun Kingdom, engaging in sparring matches with minor sects and occasionally with major ones. At that point, there's practically no sect in the Yun Kingdom that he hasn't visited, and now he makes his living by collecting bounties. It came to the point where he was capturing bandits. He has to fight enemies who attack without regard for means and methods, all while in this dizzying state. He wonders if he will really be able to survive. A bandit spots him and alerts the rest of the bandits. Either way, this is the path he has chosen. A fat bandit comes out, trying to act tough and telling CO that he is dead. CO prepares to take on all the bandits and gets into a fighting stance. This is the path he must walk. 15 years later, CO is asking Director Kim if he survived something. Director Kim, now with scars on his face, happily responds, yes, he survived fights with a natural disaster in a human form. As CO pours tea, he thinks that it's already been 45 years since he returned to this life. By now, his vision and hearing go without saying. Even his sense of touch, taste, and smell have reached a state of refined perception. But that's it. He still hasn't become a master at the peak. Really, after all this time and doing everything possible, he still hasn't reached the peak realm, bro. If it were me, I would crash out. Director Kim tells him that it seems he has become wanted. Maybe he has become a bit famous among cultivators. 2 cultivators had set a trap and were waiting for him. He barely managed to escape. Still, he did manage to land a small cut on one of their cheeks. CO asks if he must have gained a lot of insight this time as well. But Director Kim disagrees, cause he still can't beat a judgment stage Taoist. If he can't escape, he'll end up as a corpse lying on the ground. To be honest, this has been on his mind lately, that this extreme state of the 5-path core he has reached might actually be the end of the martial path. Maybe even the record of martial arts surpassing through cultivation and leap CO first gave him. He wonders if he had thoughts similar to his. That no matter how strong or skilled one becomes, martial arts alone can't defeat cultivators. CO, for some reason, saw a reflection of himself in the current Director Kim. He clearly possesses a talent bestowed by the heavens, and CO himself was born with a talent abandoned by the heavens. But Director Kim and CO clearly possess talents that are polar opposites. So why does he look so much like him? He tells Director Kim that it's frustrating not knowing why he can't reach the peak realm. Director Kim is surprised that even after mimicking sword chi and the perspective of the peak realm, he still can't reach it, and he still has no clue why. He asks for a duel for old time's sake, and the other agrees. The 2 head to the forest for what could be their last sparring match of this life. And after losing again, SCO asks Director Kim what he thinks his problem could be. Director Kim truly doesn't know. In his opinion, CO should have become a peak master long ago. CEO asks what he means by that. Director Kim explains that, yes, the situation is bizarre, even if he doesn't have talent at all. Maybe what is missing is the right trigger. CEO is confused, so Director Kim explains further he needs something like desperation or driving force. Something that could push him past the limits of his talent by drawing out extreme focus. And just like that, something inside CEO just snaps. Finally, I was wondering when we will get a crash out scene. Bro has started to feel robotic to me. CEO shouts out furiously, what kind of damn trigger is he even talking about? He has wielded a sword for over 50 years, his whole life, and other lives, if I may add. And now this guy has the nerve to tell him he needs some kind of trigger. Does he still need to yearn for? And how much more desperately? He has risked his life and struggled all his life just to escape mediocrity. He activated every meridian in his entire body. Now, even when he sleeps, he holds his sword and releases sword energy. Even in his dreams, he has reached the point where he processes every bit of scenery and information he sees. This grown-ass man lies on the ground and throws a tantrum like a kid whose parents refused to buy him some candy at the supermarket. He shouted why, just why the hell? Why is he telling him the next realm won't reveal itself to him? Why the hell not? Calm down, bro. We feel your pain. Even he knows how pitiful it is for an old man, nearly 70, to resent the heavens. But even though he chased the sword his entire life, yearning for the next realm, he couldn't even begin to grasp what that next realm was. As he thinks this, he is crying relentlessly. Now, I want to cry. Director Kim looks at his pitiful friend silently. And then with his blade, he writes a technique into a tree. And before he leaves again, he tells his CEO that, while sparring with you, he devised a martial technique to make up for his shortcomings. He knows it may not be much comfort, but he hopes that learning this will help bring him some peace of mind. After Director Kim leaves, CEO gets up to check the technique, Mountain King's martial art, and moon crossing step, and notices that Director Kim has disappeared again, just like that. 5 years later, it's been 50 years since he returned to this life. But there's not much time left until he dies again, and he wonders if Director Kim has died. So this is the fate the heavens have chosen for Director Kim and himself. With his talent, no matter how hard he struggled, this was as far as he could go, and Director Kim's talent too. Perhaps that was its limit. No matter how much ordinary men like them struggle, they can't escape the fate the heavens have set for them. Just when it seems that bro has given up on his plans, Director Kim the goat pops out and asks what kind of nonsense this old man is spouting. But this time, Director Kim is missing an eye and both his arms. CEO approached him to try and help him. But Director Kim has other plans. Without wasting time, he grabs his CEO with one hand and flies away to escape something. CEO is wondering the same thing we are all wondering. How does he clap with no hands? Okay, just kidding. SEO is surprised Director Kim is moving him with no hands. In the distance, a cultivator seems to be the one chasing Director Kim. Director Kim explains that this is the price he paid for blasting off one of the Judgment Stage cultivator's arms. He seems genuinely happy that he managed to deal meaningful damage to a cultivator. He tells CEO that he saw with his own eyes the realm beyond the five-path core, the one no martial artist can reach. He saw it with his eyes. CEO is just speechless by this fact. That's all, folks. This was a very interesting part. If you enjoyed the MC's crash out, or you enjoyed this part, please leave a like for this video. Also, if Director Kim is your favorite character so far, leave a goat emoji in the comments. And for more updates on the story, subscribe to this channel and press the notification bell to know when the next part drops. Thanks for watching.